Ask yourself, how much of this can I bring in? Newer organizations, you will have the capacity to make that change and leap very easily. The ones which have been around for a longer time, bigger organizations, I've always found, takes much longer. We are struggling at this point in time because large organizations, how will you make those? So how will you make an elephant dance is a big question on our minds. But that's a great observation too. Yes, ma'am.
We at some point of time might have bought technology to cater to that, and it was great. But over a period of time, irrespective of the technology, processes might change. We want to be more efficient, more smarter, not only to hire people, but otherwise to retain them, leaves, process, performance management, whatever, the whole gamut of things. So how do we make sure that when we change the technology, one, obviously, cost is a big thing. We are also getting it for the future, where we will continue to change. Every process will continue to improve. So that's a big question that, at least in our mind, that how do we choose the right technology for future as well?
How do you choose the technology for the future? That's an outstanding question. That's really an outstanding. That's not an easy one. So which is why I believe, first of all, you need to be asking your CIO this very big question. How closer is he to the kinds of technology that's emerging? And by the way, we shouldn't be just picking up every shiny pebble which is on the beach. It's not possible because your pockets are already full of them. We can't do this. I found it useful, at least in my last few years. When you're getting into this kind of a dialogue, it requires a lot of thinking about what the organization truly wants. Now, if you're an organization which is a lot into, let's say, hiring and growing people, if you're a people-centric, I mean, you've got a lot of people in your organizations, then you're going to be looking at a few things. You're going to be looking at agility, because that's going to be very important. Second one is a technology that can manage data. And I say this because all of us know this. You can put a whole lot of stuff. The moment you say, okay, I want this on my dashboard, and you click, by the time that big circle that keeps going on and you're able to get that information, is about 5 minutes long. Why? Because we have loaded that with a lot of data. So how will you, one, first look at agility, two, make it simpler. All of us sitting in this room know this. We like to pride ourselves saying, I've inserted a few more processes into things which will make it better. I think we should spend a little bit more time looking at how can we make it simpler. So if you're looking at new technologies, look at technologies that can make work simpler, not complicated anymore. Last but not the least is any technology which can make it easier on organizations and is in line with the strategy of an organization, you should be looking at that technology. Because if my vision is, okay, this is what I want to do in the next 5 years, and this is my strategy, do I have my digital technology which is aligning with that? If you're able to put all of that in place, then we've got something going. I'll give you an example. If your organization has got 85% millennials and you're on this digital journey, now you can say that you are doing a terrific job, but what that person wants is on his mobile, can he access information, can he punch in his information and get all that he wants? Because today it's possible. But what kind of information will you put out there? So you'll have to think of those things. I hope this helps. Yes, sir, you have a question? Yes.
Fully at speed to support the technology, because I'll give an example. In one of my previous organizations, we were launching video recruit tool. So a nice simple tool, you put up 6, 7, 10 questions and the candidate answer, and that too being in Delhi NCR, which is the capital. Now the candidate answers live on the tool and it comes as a response. So we promoted this very well to the managers and all of that. But the challenge was that the 4G speed or the intranet bandwidth to stream those interviews took a longer time, so it flopped. So my point is, as a concept, a lot of things comes, but when practically, as you rightly said, interlinkages of tool within the organization itself is a challenge. So by the time you change the behaviors of managers, there is something new which comes in. So that I feel the change of technology is much faster than the change of behavior. So my question, coming back to the question, do you think the pace of external factors supporting this technology is adequate?
I'm sure there are going to be similar kind of questions for the panel that's going to be talking exactly these kinds of questions, but let me give this a shot. I think in terms of what India has tried to do in the last 15 years, 2000 onwards, has been spectacular. So we really jumped. If you are familiar, if you're familiar with the CDMA technology which came in, that was supposed to be a big jump. We went into wireless where the rest of the world was still struggling. So in terms of the number of users that you have on the mobiles, today nobody wants to use a laptop. There will be a day when you would have desktops in some places, and you will soon find them in museums as well, because that's the big change. But you're right, if you don't have an infrastructure that can cater to all of that, then you're really going to be in deep trouble. So you got to make a proper assessment. We have tried this video interviewing as well, and it's a good point that you made. I deliberately did not touch on few of these because the afternoon, there's a lot of stuff around that. Video interviewing is not easy. You touched upon one about the infrastructure. The other one is also how comfortable are people with the video technology. You don't have to even go to video technology. Man, forget this. You're doing Skype interviews, right? When you're doing Skype interviews, how easy it is to really get past that and really understand this. So today, we try to get people into our own offices and get them in front of, so you don't really have to travel, but get the people in front. And if you have an interview in another part of the world, can you do a telepresence? But again, that's because you've got superior technology, you've got something which is backing. We are still some distance away. But as people who are leaders in this audience, we really have to take a call. What influence will we bring upon people that work in technology in our own organizations, that they start to address some of these issues, whatever limited way that they can. But, and also in some way, I think rapidly, if you look at what's happening even in the data stuff that is happening with a few telephony companies that's come in, voice is free, data is in. But then do you have the right data speeds that people are speaking about? So it's going to take some time, but at least it's a way lot better than people having to travel all the way, go to another place, get interviewed, and then come back. I remember what it takes sitting in one of those bogies which had, the steam, not even a steam engine, it was a coal-fired boiler. And then getting off in the right railway station, getting down, all grime dust, go, change, shower, finish, and then by the time you get back, you ask yourself, was it worth all that trouble? If you got the job, it's fine. But if you didn't, you will say, what a terrible company it was. Okay, I'll take one last.
Nathan, this is Smriti here. It's always a pleasure to hear you, both inside and outside the organization. My question here, and this is in regards to the theme of our evening today. The recruiter of the future is expected to be a technologist, a data scientist, somebody who understands artificial intelligence and can derive derivations from it. And I can actually visualize like a cartoon, with a lot of hands, like a Ma Durga or something, just for ease of words. So what do you think is our readiness in our talent teams to kind of actually make sure that we are able to bring up the capability of the people who are actually doing this job? There's a lot of talk on technology, there's a lot of conversation around artificial intelligence, but it's actually the talent behind which plays the art piece of it. So what are your thoughts and recommendations in terms of how do we up the game and the capability to make this all happen and come together?
Oh, what a great question. And I love this because you gave me the answer in your question itself. So thank you so much. Um, I'll tell you what I do. I find it difficult to keep up with technology. So many things happening, people who are infinitely cleverer, brighter, smarter than I am. But the only thing that I do is I'm a good listener. And I believe that Jnanam is a little bit about Shruti Jnanam, which is, you know where I'm going with this. It's about hearing from somebody can also make you a lot smarter. So I have a technology mentor who's 27 years of age. And what I would do is I would spend at least an hour with him every week. And he would teach me a number of things. And he also prepares for that meeting. Because when he starts to prepare, he will know the kind of questions that I'm asking. Sometimes it's a little difficult, right? I'll ask him basic questions and then he will say, hey, let me come back to you. For instance, you would look at him and say, why does blockchain work the way it does? The first question was, what is blockchain? How does that technology work? If you don't know those answers, you don't have to feel terrible about it. Because there are people who know all the answers. All you have to do is, please speak about it and I can listen. And then we can interject and ask questions. After you do all that stuff, you take that back to your own team and then share your knowledge. In the sharing, what also happens is two things happen. One, the team starts to think, oh wow, this is something that I had not thought about. Maybe this is something that I should work a little bit more on. The second thing, which is as important as the first, is after I leave the room, people in the room will start to think, not bad, even this old man knows a little bit about this stuff. And it helps both ways. So we have to be in touch. All the people sitting in this room, you need to be on top of a lot of things which is happening. Even if it does not happen in our own organization, you at least need to know what is happening around you. Because that will make us smarter. And at least awareness is where the whole thing starts. But thank you so much for that. I would like to stop here. This was supposed to be only an inaugural speech, but I was invited to ask and respond to questions. Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure being here. Really appreciate your time living through all of what I said. The next set of people who are going to be coming here are going to be far more interesting, so I will now leave the stage. Thank you very much.